Now we have put together a sample set of data, which I believe should be the starter kit for our discussion. So we'll talk about three business lines that we have, and the brands that we have, and the SKUs that we have, and the typical selling price for a particular SKU within that brand. Right now, since we are talking about opening of economy after COVID, we were closed for some time, and hence there is only 15 days of data available with us, right? So within this 15 days of data, I think we should be able to see what are the patterns and what are the inferences we can draw. And once we are ready with that, I think it can be expanded over a bigger period, right? But to keep the data handy and workable in Excel, we are talking only about 15 days data here.
So Omkar, can I request you to walk us through the data that is available?
Yes, I'll do that. Yes.
So I'll just switch to an Excel.
Sure. So as we are discussing, we have four pieces of data, which are probably the starter kit for data that we are talking about. So the first piece is the SKU master that we have. Yeah, we talked about these business lines, right? Mobiles, FMCG, lifestyle, right? We talked about the brands also in the presentation. So here is a detailed set of description for all these brands. So we have 10 SKUs from mobiles, 10 SKUs from FMCG, and I think 10 SKUs from lifestyle as well, right? So these are the set of 30 SKUs we will talk about. Each one, as we said, belongs to a different brand, and hence it has a different aspirational or economic profile. Basis that we also are giving you what is the average selling price for a particular SKU. So if I just have to give an example, I will talk about this mobile M10 orange, right? It belongs to that orange brand. O11 is the model, and it is single unit sales for 60,000 rupees. Yeah. Whereas the older model, which is O10, sells for 55,000 rupees for one piece, right? Similarly, there will be different SKUs with different price point. All right. Then we'll go to the other piece, which is sales data. Next, please. Yeah. So this is the sales data. I think you need to change that.
1 second. I think the format of the data.
Yes. Yeah. So we have data for 1st of April to 15th of April, as we said, 15 days of data we have. For each of these 30 SKUs, we have sales recorded in 3 cities. The cities that we talked about, right? So there is sale which is happening directly from Hyderabad. Then there is sale which is happening directly from Madras and Coimbatore, right? Cochin. So all these 3 cities for each day, for each of 30 SKUs, we have the sales recorded in this. Yeah, the sale is in number of.
Omkar, let me just filter on maybe one SKU.
Yeah.
You can show us because I'm finding it a little difficult to understand. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just look at M01.
Yeah. So M01, maybe if you can put a filter on city also. Say
on city also. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just look at Chennai or
any one of them.
Any one of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the 15 days sales data for SKU called M01, which is mobile.
So that number 17, Omkar, represents the number. Is it the number?
Number of units.
Number of units. Okay.
So 17 mobiles were sold from city of Madras for SKU M01 on 1st of April.
1st of April. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's how I understood this. All right.
Yeah.
And then if I change from Madras to, let us say, Hyderabad.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then 26 units were sold from Hyderabad.
That's right. That's
right. Okay.
Yeah. Now there will be some unique cases, right? When we talked about the fulfillment, we talked about the orders, right? We said if the stock is not available in Madras, Order will be still served through Madras, but it will be coming from Hyderabad as a back order. Right? You said customer in Tirunelveli orders a phone. It's not available in Madras, but the order will be served from Hyderabad. Right? However, in this case, the assumption for this discussion will be the sale will be still recorded as sale of Madras. Right? Now, the interesting piece will be to see whether or not we have inventory in Madras, the stock in right. So we'll see how we go about that.
Okay. So
now we said that we have two-tier network, right? So Hyderabad is the FC where all the buying is happening, right?
So how many sales transactions like this? How many? It's not actually transactions because you're saying 26 units were sold.
Yes.
So we have to have 15 days multiplied by number of SKUs multiplied by number of cities.
Number of cities. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yes, yeah. So multiplied cities multiplied by SKUs multiplied by 15 will be the
that's how many number of rows will be there.
Rows are there.
There could be lesser rows because there could be cases where there is no sale of a particular SKU.
In that case, maybe missing rows. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But if I just look at this total, it is showing me 1,351 rows
that's
are
right.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a lot of data, basically. A huge amount of data.
Still, it is in kilobytes.
But it's still less than. But it's still less than that. We have 30 SKUs, 15 days. 15 into 30 is 450. Multiplied by Chennai, Madras, Cochin, and Hyderabad. 3. 450 into 3 will be 1,350.
Correct.
And how many do we have?
Which is correct. So we have 1351. So that probably includes header.
No. 1351 is the line number. So first is header.
Yeah. Okay. So I just did the count. The count is also 1351.
Okay. So we have just the correct number. So nothing missing. I mean, that's what.
Yeah. So there are zeros there. I'm saying that.
Oh, there are zeros there. You have put a zero there. So every row is so.
Right. So yes, if you look at this,
so 223 records.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now we will talk about the next data set, which is opening stock. Right. So on 1st of April, what is the stock position in all the 3 FCs for each of the 30 SKUs? Is what this table is.
Opening stock position.
On 1st of April.
On 1st of April.
Yeah.
So on 1st of April, Hyderabad had 391 units of F01.
Correct.
Cochin had 77 units and Madras had 50 units.
That's right.
That's how I read this, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So in this case, we will only have 30 rows. Then
this will be 30 rows only. 30 rows into 3 columns, 90 odd datas.
90 odd pages. Okay.
Yep. Now we will talk about the transactions.
Okay.
Yeah, you had a question then?
No, I was saying, so this is only the picture on the morning of 1st of April.
Correct.
We don't know what the picture would be on the morning of 2nd of April.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we will have to figure out, I guess.
Yes, we will go in that direction. Okay. So let's say after that, let's say we have a 2-tier network. You remember that? 2-tier network, Hyderabad is the place where we are buying everything and we are distributing inventory every single day to Cochin and Madras. Right. So there is some stock which is moving from Hyderabad to Cochin and Hyderabad to Madras every single day. Right. Now the next table talks about exactly that. If you can go to the next table. This table is about what is the stock transfer to Cochin from columns B to, please help me with the column number.
B at the top is for Cochin.
Yeah.
And then you will have a similar one for
yeah. So B to P will be Cochin, and then there is a Q to AE will be for Madras.
Okay. And the assumption is that all of this is coming from Hyderabad.
That's right. This is from Hyderabad.
So it's Hyderabad to Cochin, Hyderabad to Madras.
That's right. And for each day, what is the quantity? And if you go to left, there are these 30 SKUs that we talked about. For each SKU, what is the quantity being transferred is noted.
So how do I read? So 10 items moved from Hyderabad
to Cochin on 1st of April for F01.
Of F01, correct.
Yeah.
And on 2nd April, F01, 21 items moved. Like that you're
That's right. Yeah.
Can these numbers be negative? I mean, do items ever go back?
They do go back, but in that case, it becomes a non-sellable item. Typically, if it is a bad inventory, it will go back, but effective piece will go back.
Oh, okay. Returns. Okay.
Returns. Yeah. But normally we will have returns only in a rarest of rare case.
And that's not recorded. I mean, this is not the sheet for that. There will be another sheet for that.
No, we will not have that here.
In this case, we are not looking at. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. So
this will be a huge piece of data, right? So you will have here, you will have 30 rows and then 15 days for each city.
That's so 45 right. Columns and 30 rows.
Right.
Again, 1,350. That's also 1,350.
Yes, actually, yes, it is. But I think that's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is the data. Or is there anything else?
This is the data.
All right.
Yeah.
So should we go back to the presentation?
So this will help me to find out the opening stock position on any given day, because I can.
That's right. So let's not worry so much about Hyderabad. For sake of discussion, let's not worry so much about Hyderabad. Hyderabad will have enough data, enough stock, right?
Unassumed, yeah.
What is happening in Cochin and Madras, right? Let's focus on that to get the insights. And if we are able to do that, I'm sure Hyderabad is not a different story altogether, right?
Okay.
I hope this data is sufficient.
I think this looks good. I mean, we have, what do we have? We have SKU wise master data. We have the opening stock position.
Opening stock, sales data, and stock.
And we have the movement data of stock from Hyderabad to Cochin and this thing. And then we have the sales data, which is transaction data. How many sales have happened for each SKU in each of the centers?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good. I think this is a rich data, so we have to see what to do with it now. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back and take a look at what questions we have to be prepared for this meeting, right?
Yes.
So let me go to the next slide. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So these are the detailed set of questionnaires that we have, right? So the planning head wants to know which are high volume SKUs, which are the SKUs which are selling like hotcakes, or are there some stars and there are some laggards in case of my sales pattern, right? Which SKUs provide me highest revenue? So which SKUs I need to worry about, especially for stock out, right? For example, a stock out of a 1 unit of a mobile will be much more costly from revenue perspective than mobile sale stock out of a soap, right? Where should I place the high volume SKUs and low volume SKUs within my DC? So I'll have a box, right? I'll have a limited storage capacity, right? How do I best organize my DC so that my efficiency of picking is best, so that my manpower required in DC is least possible? I offer myself at a least possible cost to the customer, and hence offer the best possible prices to the customer, which will in turn mean the customer will come back to me. Right? So how do I do it in most efficient way, right? Then which are the SKUs I'm planning to order today? Do I need to replenish something? Do I need to order something back? Or am I decently placed in terms of inventories in my forward and deep FCs? That is what I want to know as a planning head. Yeah.
Right. Right. I think this makes sense.
Yeah. Next set of questions also talk about the planning head. This is about the trends and the seasonalities. We will not see seasonalities here because we are talking only about 15 days data, but about the trends, right? So, do I have any trend in volume? Is that is there the trend that a particular SKU is actually growing up or maybe exponentially increasing, which I need to react to, or if there is any SKU which is maybe dropping in the product life cycle, it's not something that people want to buy anymore. So I need to slow down on buying on that. That's what I want to understand. Is there any pattern on sales from days perspective? Are we selling more on Wednesday? Are we selling more on Thursday, Friday? What could be the reason? Let's see if there are some insights around that, right? What do I need to stock more and where? Do I have a stockout situation, possible stockout situation in a particular SKU for a particular FC and vice versa? Both ways. Am I carrying excess inventory of a particular SKU? Maybe I'm deploying too much of inventory in Madras and starving Cochin, which I should not do. I need to know about all those things, right? Next, please. Coming to Mr. Shah, the CFO, right? Typical questions around inventory holding, how much inventory I'm holding, are there any stockouts which are going to cost me from revenue perspective? And why am I not getting enough stock of N01, one of the SKUs? What could be the reason for that? We'll see what is happening on N01 in the data. Yep.
Okay.
Go to Mr. Murthy. Yeah. The CEO, Mr. Murthy. He is talking about what is the overall availability of the customer, what is the percentage of stockouts that we are facing, right? If not stockouts, I want to know what are the inefficient orders which are being served. So, Madras customer ordering something which is not there in Madras and hence served from Hyderabad. It's an inefficient order. I want to know what percentage of orders are inefficient, right? How are the BUs growing? All the BUs are growing or only the growth is coming from one BU? I want to know about that. I want to make a presentation to my board about that, right?
So what is BU, Omkar?
Sorry, it's a business unit, right? So we talked about
what is the BU?
Business unit.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we spoke about 3 different business units, right? Mobiles is a business unit or a group, right? FMCG is another group, lifestyle is another group, right? So when a platform company has to grow, right? The platform company grows when all the business units grows together.
Right.
If only one of the business unit keeps on growing, then the platform company will cease to be the platform company tomorrow and will become a niche company.
Right.
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 So hence the growth has to be coming from everyone. It should not be coming only from one. That's the idea here, right? How do I plan service level for important SKUs? Like there is a new mobile which is launched by this Orange, right? The new in thing in the market, right? How do I make sure that it is stocked everywhere and people buy only from me? They don't go to competition, they don't go to offline store and only buy from me. What are you doing for that, right? So these are the set of questions that we need to answer for the board meeting to prepare for the board meeting and support Mr. Murthy for making his presentation.
This data is, I hope this data is sufficient for us to answer these questions. We'll examine it. When we look at the data, I guess we will know that it's sufficient. But in your experience, can you get trends by some of these questions? Can you answer how much of data do you really need? Is 15 days data is a good data set, or
it's not sufficient normally, but it should be good enough for this discussion.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
As I said, especially when we are talking about trends and seasonalities, right? Definitely that has to be a longer term data. But there are different challenges that we face, right? As I said, we are dealing with like billions of megabytes of data per day, right? So it's practically impossible for us to store all that data in system.
Okay.
So in that case, what will happen is we'll keep data for 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, whatever our systems allow us, and then purge the remaining data.
Okay.
Compress the remaining data in a format which probably is usable later, right? So I might have a let's say SKU level sales data for last 1 year, but if you ask me about which geography that SKU was sold or which customer bought that data, that will not be available after, let's say, 3 months. So that data will be summarized and the remaining data will be purged out. Otherwise, we'll be just investing in data centers.
So your big challenge is that you have too much data actually. So that is a problem, right?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I think the bigger challenge, GV, is how to make some sense out of all of this data.
Yeah. We'll see. That we are going to do. We are going to work on that. We'll make sense out of that.
Yeah.
But the difference between what we are going to do and what Omkar has to do on a daily basis is the fact that he's got far too much data. We have controlled set of data that to work with. Yeah.
Correct.
That's right. So on my personal front, I don't have to worry about it. The competent and big enough data team with me. So there is a complete bandwidth which is available on analytics side. They churn out all this data. They create things out. What I need to tell them is the way I want to see the final numbers. So they create dashboards for me, and the dashboards are available in Data Studio or Power BI or stuff like that, which are kind of easily accessible, and they're accessible on my phone. Right? So on weekends, I don't have to even start the laptop. I can just forget weekends. Like this could be a discussion evening. I'm catching up with my friends, and then all of a sudden my VP will call me out. What is the status? What's the number? I can just pull the data and just tell him that number, right? Now the things have moved so much that he himself has access to that data. He will look at only. He will call me if something is wrong.
So most of these are in the form of dashboards. You're saying well designed.
Yeah. So dashboards are the critical things in our business, right?
Yeah, and these are pictures. I mean, this dashboard is not tables, right? I presume they're pictures.
Yes. It's table. It represents the data in a particular way, which is uniform. The reason it helps us is we understand the structure, so we don't need to interpret it every single day. The structure remains same. The data is refreshed. So all we need to worry about is what is the change in data, and there is a history also which is available. Let's say 7 days of history, 10 days of history, 15 days of history, whatever. So it helps us in making correlations. It helps us in making sure how the trends are. Factoring into whether or not the data is complete, whether or not the data is accurate. All those things are taken care by backend teams. What I see is the final churned out cream of that data. So that's what I work with, because the actions will be taken based on that data which is available, right? I'll have to ask the BUs to schedule more. I'll have to ask BUs to buy more.
What you're saying is that even though a lot of data is getting collected, this data is getting processed on a daily basis. On a daily basis, and then distilled in the form of these dashboards, which you get to see.
Yes.
And so once you have the dashboards, actually the data, in some sense, I wouldn't say discarded, but it's archived. Is that the right word to use? It's stored away somewhere.
Correct. That's right.
And whenever you need, you might retrieve that data and mine it and do something. But that's something else.
That's right. It's
somewhere for your day-to-day purposes, you don't need all that. You just basically extract from the data whatever juice you need, and you put it in these dashboards, and that's about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Milind, we are going to try and create some elements of that dashboard, right? We'll not.
Yes, I think we should look at both, GV, how to massage the data, how to analyze the data, but also how to present our results in some
pictorial
understandable format. No?
Yes. Yeah. Pictorial.
That's really what I'm looking for.
Right.
That is typically a pitfall I've seen. Like people work on a lot of data, and people who join my team also. And these guys are like say MBA graduates and let's say engineers from different institutes and all. But when they come and then when they start working, right, they fall into this trap. Right? They will talk about what data they have seen, what data they have churned, what work they have done, and the message is lost. Right? What is important for me is not a work that a person has put in that effort, right? But what is important for me is what is the message which is coming out of that.
What's the story?
What's the story, right? I don't want to know. I don't want to know if there are like so many units of data which is available for me. As long as you tell me that, boss, don't worry, we are going at 5% rate for this month. Year-on-year growth rate is at 60%. There is a little bit slow down, but it should be fine. I don't have any problem on stock. I don't have any problem on inventory. I'm working with a healthy inventory covers. Stockouts are under control, but inventory is also not bloated. I'm well within my numbers. If I'm told about these three factors, I will ask only one speed question, right? How fast am I serving my customer? And if I'm serving customer within 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, whatever that number is, that's all I want to know as a leader, right? What goes behind is all good. It's all preparation to get into these 4-5 numbers. That's all.